Hey there, fellow patriots. After a long absence, we're back. Welcome to Cousin Vinny's place. Excuse me. I'm going to give you my thoughts on the State of the Union last night. But before we do that, make sure you hit that like button, share this video, subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notification bell to be notified of new upcoming videos. All right, here we go. First of all, I don't think it was great in oratory, but then again, that's not what I was looking for anyway. We've had presidents that were great orators, and they did nothing as far as results. This is the opposite. This was kind of a checklist on success, basically, is what it was, and also a vision going forward. Rather than sowing rhetoric with nothing to back it up. One word stood out, just right, and I think it was contrast. There was a contrast between the heroes in the gallery representing the greatness of America. You had three soldiers that were involved in the Normandy Beach invasion. One of the greatest battles, perhaps, in history. Then you had Buzz Aldrin, who planted the flag on the surface of the moon. Again, one of the greatest achievements of mankind. And you contrast that with the pettiness that's going on in Congress and in Washington, and I think that's what the main crux of the entire State of the Union was. It was a contrast between the actual greatness of America and what the crap that we're all seeing now. And he needed to show that contrast in order to take the country where it needs to go. So let's get into some of the points that I think need emphasis. The white outfits. They were called the suffragette outfits. I guess for solidarity for the women's right to vote. Excuse me, but I'm sorry. Don't women already have the right to vote? And then I look somewhere and it says, well, yeah, but it's also to protect women, the abortion rights. Please, let's not go down that road, especially with the infanticide being signed into law in New York and the proposed infanticide in Virginia. Let's come on. It's not abortion anymore. It's friggin' murder. All right. And then it was also to protest the pay gap, which, folks, there isn't a pay gap. All right. As a matter of fact, I might do a video on that, but there is not a pay gap. All right. Women just don't do high-paying work. Okay, they don't. Men typically do the more dangerous work, and the more dangerous work happens to pay more. You don't see a lot of women on oil derricks. You don't see a lot of women in construction. You don't see a lot of women, and it's just a fact. It's just what it is. They're more in, other fields of endeavor that don't pay as much as the more dangerous physical labor. It's just a fact. There is no pay gap. What they say is a pay gap is they take all the men's pay, all the women's pay, and then of course there's a discrepancy. But if you take, say, a school teacher and you compare a male school teacher and a female school teacher, that pay is equal. Okay. However, if you compare a female school teacher and a guy that works on an oil platform in the middle of the Gulf, that pay is not the same because it's more hazardous. Okay, so that pay gap that's a load of crap. And also, like women's rights and blah 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 blah. So that's what the whole white suits thing was for. Here's the thing, folks. It's a fake outrage. They say they're for women, and yet the women that get sexually assaulted and sold into slavery and sold into the sex trafficking, in these caravans, they don't say a thing about it. The women in the Middle East that can't drive, can't vote, can't speak, can't do a damn thing. They don't say anything about that. So it's all this phony outrage and hypocrisy. And the only time they stood up when it was about them. So if you're going to stand when it's only about you, that tells me something. That means that you don't give a shit about anything else but you. And you didn't stand when, the president was outlining the successes of the country. So that, again, that's very, very telling. So that was one thing that kind of got on my nerves. Another thing, I saw people on their cell phones. That bothered me. I mean, it just did. Pelosi's sitting there reading something instead of paying attention. Look, if you're going to show up at the State of the Union address and you're going to be on your telephone, or you're not going to pay attention, or you're going to be disruptive, or you're going to protest or whatever, stay the hell home. I mean, there's, what I'm saying? That's not the time or the place for that. Okay, it's just not. If it's a disrespect, not to the office of the presidency, not to anything else. It's just a lack of decorum. It's a lack of respect for your particular office. I mean, you're a senator or you're a representative, and you don't have the courtesy to listen to what the president has to say. Stay home. Don't show up and just be on your cell phone or I don't know. That's me. I didn't like it. Here's what hit home. The successes were, like I said, it was a checklist and it was staggering. Unemployment numbers for African Americans, Asians, and Hispanics, all-time low, all-time. And there's no dispute over this either. Okay, none, zero. You can't argue with it. Disabled unemployment, all-time low. There's money coming back to the Treasury because of the correction of the trade imbalances. We're now an exporter of energy. I mean, that's awesome. That's great. That's great news. Money's flowing into NATO. Great news. Sanctions on Iran. Great news. North Korea, quiet. Awesome news. ISIS is gone, pretty much. Great news. Nobody stands up. Nobody cares. And again, it's not like you can argue this. I mean, these are facts. They're not opinions, they're facts. And I mean, the only thing that I can figure is that you want the country to fail. You don't want success because that means that your policies don't work and won't work and can't work. So that's the only reason that everybody was pretty much apoplectic in the crowd. Something very interesting also, there seemed to be a disconnect between the anchors and what the people thought of the speech. Now, granted, they'll say, well, it was a snap poll. It was I believe they call them snap polls, of like people that actually watched the speech. And it was like well over 70% approved of it. And yet the anchors are on there going, well, it was blah, it was this, it was that, it was, the typical nonsense. So I'm not sure why this disconnect. And one was was a CBS poll, and the other I think was a CNN poll. So like there were two like polling outfits that like did these snap polls. One for sure I know was a CBS poll, and that was over 70%. In fact, I think it was close to 80% approved of the speech, and over 70% approved of the immigration policy. And that's not what the anchors were reporting. Big surprise, because the anchors are, an arm of the Democratic Party. Here's also like one of the other takeaways I got on it. The president issued a challenge. He threw down the gauntlet. He challenged the Congress to find their better angels. He challenged the Congress to do their damn jobs, and to recognize the gravity of their position. And there's this one piece of the speech that I like want to read you guys, and I think it's important that we focus in on this. It says, "Think of this Capitol, this very chamber, where lawmakers before you voted to end slavery, to build the railroads and the highways, to defeat fascism, to secure civil rights, to face down an evil empire. Here tonight we have legislators from across this magnificent republic. You have come from the rocky shores of Maine and the volcanic peaks of Hawaii, from the snowy woods of Wisconsin and the red deserts of Arizona, from the green farms of Kentucky and the golden beaches of California. Together, we represent the most extraordinary nation in all of history. What will we do with this moment? How will we be remembered? I ask the men and women of this Congress, look at the opportunities before us." That's powerful, guys. That's not, like I said, it wasn't soaring rhetoric, but it's a challenge. It's are we going to be these petty people, or are we going to be the people like, the heroes in the gallery, those heroes that stormed the beaches of Normandy, that liberated Dachau, the people that defeated fascism, the people that defeated Nazism, the people that built the railroads. Are we going to be those people, or are we going to be just these petty people that are just going to disagree with anything the president says because it's Donald Trump and not Barack Obama, or not Hillary Clinton, or not Joe, or anybody else but Donald Trump? Are we going to put country before party, or are we going to put party before country? I don't recognize the Democratic Party anymore. The Democratic Party used to be the party of Truman and Kennedy. If Kennedy was, if Kennedy was alive right now, the Democrats would eat him alive. Guys, they've gone so far. They're losing their friggin' minds. And they're taking this country to a place where, nobody wants to go, and yet they think it's a good idea. Just like, the president brought up Venezuela. Fourth largest economy in the world in the 1950s. The fourth largest economy in the world in the 1950s. Now they're eating zoo animals. Look, Americans want to walk their dogs. They don't want to eat them. And yet, they think it's a smart idea to try to bring that here. Why? Because, you've got a great track record every place else? You know, it's a record of failure and destruction and inhumanity everywhere else it's been tried. But for some reason, you morons think that it's a good idea to bring it here. I don't get it. So yeah, I thought the State of the Union was, like I said, it was a stark contrast between, you know, the heroes and the greatness of America and the petty nonsense and bullshit that we're seeing right now. And it was also, and it was also a challenge, a universal challenge to every member of Congress to find your better angels and to put country before party, and to realize that we're special. We're, this is an extraordinary country, and we can't throw it away. And we've done extraordinary things, and we can continue to do extraordinary things if we work together and stop this petty nonsense. Stop showing up at the State of the Union and just making an ass out of yourself, looking at your cell phone. Stay home. Stop showing up at the State of the Union and protesting. That's not the place for it. You want to protest? I have no problem protesting. There's a time and a place. And the State of the Union address is not the time nor the place to do it. It's a time to reflect on what the president's vision is, and it's a time to afford him, the due respect of the office. Okay, it's not the time for you. Okay, which, like I said, that's what those cackling hens in white were like doing. They couldn't give a shit about an 8-year-old girl that beat brain cancer. But the minute it was about them, they stood up and cheered. They couldn't give a crap about the fantastic economic news, about jobs coming back to this country, about manufacturing jobs that everybody said was lost. They couldn't give a damn about that. But the minute it was about them, they stood up. So it was a stark contrast, and it was a challenge. I hope they take them up on it, but time will tell. Anyway, folks, that's about it. This video is running a little long. Again, please subscribe, mash that like button, share this video as much as possible. Don't forget to hit the notification bell. I'm going to try to do a weekly podcast with a good friend of mine, Frank Salvato, who's with undergroundusa.com. We're going to try and do a weekly podcast. In addition, I'm not going to be doing these once a week, so there'll actually be 2 videos a week. So that's about it. I'm glad we're back. That's about it. Thanks for watching, guys. God bless America, and long live the Republic.